Good morning everybody, this is Victoria. Welcome back to another episode of drawing tutorials and also drawing construction. So today what we're actually going to work on is the Mario mushroom, so kind of like what I mentioned from the previous episode where we are actually going to apply the measuring, so how to measure with your pencil, to a fun drawing exercise, and that way it would help you improve your proportions and also practice the new techniques that you learned from that previous video. So I'm going to walk you guys through on what art materials you'll need for this particular exercise, and also we are going to learn this in a step-by-step process. So we're going to learn this one step at a time so that you can learn how to apply the new techniques that you learned from the previous video into a drawing exercise so that you can actually practice your drawing and help you improve your proportions and your drawing skills. Now, if you did not watch that previous video before, then I would recommend watching that first, because then that way you can kind of get the hang of how to measure with your pencil, so kind of like how to hold your pencil and actually how to do the measuring before we actually jump into this drawing exercise, because we will go in a kind of faster pace, but not really, but we're gonna kind of move forward ahead and add a lot more stuff to it than just the basic measuring. So yeah, I'll link a description below, and I will also link a clickable thingamajiggy at the top here on the right corner. I forgot what you call it though, but yeah, so you can actually click on this and check out the video if you don't want to go down to the description below, and check out that video, and then that way we can actually get started on today's drawing practice. And for those who are completely new to this art YouTube channel, my name is Victoria, and I am a self-taught fine art artist, illustrator, and I am also an art teacher that creates these fun tutorials and drawing processes and also drawing exercises and constructions to help my students and then those who loves to draw and paint improve their drawing and painting skills. So if you guys are ready, let's get started. So basically, let's start off with art materials today. So it's actually very straightforward. So all you would actually need is a type of paper. You can either use sketch paper or you can also use printing paper. Both of the paper works because we're not actually going into any of the shading. It's only drawing today and learning how to measure with our pencil and actually incorporate and apply that to an actual drawing construction. So paper, sketch paper, printing paper is good, and then also you would need a pencil. I would recommend a HB pencil regardless if it's a traditional pencil or a mechanical pencil. They both work. Just make sure that it's long enough so that you can actually measure with it, because if it's too short then your mushroom's gonna look very small. And the last thing is definitely an eraser. We will be doing a lot of erasing since we are learning, we're practicing, we're trying to improve our drawing skills, so eraser is essential. So try to get an eraser, pencil, paper, and we're good to go. Okay, so for the first step, what we'll need here, step number one, is we see a basic shape, and that basic shape is called a square. So we're gonna make sure that we're gonna draw that, and we wanna make sure that the square fits on the paper so that you don't want the mushroom Mario or the Mario mushroom to be too big that it goes out of the paper. We want to make sure that everything fits. So drawing this square over here would actually help us find the size that we want our Mario mushroom to be, and then we're going to first draw the top horizontal line. So that's going to be the top line, and do your best to keep it as level as possible. If you need to fix or erase, be open to do so, because this is a very crucial and very important step, because if the square is slightly a bit off, then everything else that you add after that will also kind of tumble down and kind of fall apart. So make sure that the square is good before we move on to the next step. So once we have the horizontal line, make sure that you have these two dashed lines, one at the left side and the right side, so those are acting as stoppers. So those ones would be the place where you would actually measure with your pencil. So basically when you're measuring with your pencil, you want to make sure that you hold the so make sure you have your hand out like this, and then you can have your other hand hold the pencil, and basically the key idea is that you want to make sure that your thumb and your third finger is going to hold the pencil while your index finger is free to move. Make sure it wiggles, and then you can actually use that to measure. So you're gonna have the tip of the pencil on one edge over here, and what we're going to do here is that you can either use the tip of the pencil or the lead itself though, but I'm just gonna put the lead in so that's a little bit easier. But yeah, so you're gonna use the tip of the pencil, and then also make sure you hold with your thumb and finger, and then make sure your index finger can slide up and down. And we're gonna make sure tip of pencil is on the left side of the line, and also now that the tip of the finger is going to be on the other dashed line on the right. So that's how you get your measurement. And then once you have that secured, then you can feel free to kind of change the angles and all that. So make sure that you're, when you're measuring, that you actually can see where you're actually putting the tip of the pencil and also where your finger is, because you don't want to block any of the lines that you're measuring. So you want to make sure that you're holding it with the thumb and the third finger, and then the index finger is free to extend or kind of retract and move back so that you can adjust your measurement. So now we are ready to actually draw the rest of the square. So basically what equals a square is that the width is the same as the length. So you want to make sure that both of those proportions and size are the same. So what happens here is that you want to make sure that we're going to tilt that measurement so that we know where the base of the square is. So we're going to do our measuring here. So make sure that the tip of the pencil is on the left side of the line, and then the tip of the finger is going to be on the right side. And then once we have this, we're going to kind of tilt. So we're going to twist and turn. So let's turn and twist together. So we're going to turn very slowly over here and make sure that the tip of the pencil is on the horizontal line, and then the tip of the finger is going to be where your baseline is going to be. So, okay, let's try that again. So basically tip of pencil and tip of finger, and then basically tip of pencil on the horizontal line, and that's going to be where the baseline of the square is going to be, which is at the tip of the finger. There you go. Tip of the finger. Yeah. Okay, so now once we got that and we double checked, so you can always double check and go back to see if it's the same measurement and all that stuff, and then making sure that doesn't go past the horizontal line or not reaching it quite yet. So you're gonna take this measurement, and basically you want to make sure that your finger touches the baseline, and then we're going to double check this way. So going back and forth and double check definitely helps out, because sometimes your hands may shift a little bit. So make sure that your tip of finger and tip of the pencil is at the right place, and then once you switch and kind of turn and twist down, then that's how you get your measurement. And then basically once you have that and then you're happy, you can go ahead and draw your vertical line down, and then that's how we're going to get the left side of the square. And then once you have that, then we can go ahead and also draw a vertical line down for the right side too, because we know how wide the square is. So we can go ahead and draw a vertical line down on the right side, and then we are going to close off our square with the baseline. So make sure you kind of start at the dash that we kind of found when we were measuring. So make sure you start from there, and then we're gonna draw a line all the way to the right side. Sorry, the camera's this camera's blurring out there, it doesn't want to focus, but yeah, so make sure you kind of draw all the line all the way to the right side, and then you can also double check this way too, just in case if any of the lines starts to bend midway or at the very end. So that tends to happen quite a bit when students are practicing. So at first it goes pretty straight down, and until the very end they start to either curve out or they curve in. So it's not exactly straight all the way from the top to the bottom. So measuring this would actually make sure that it's even on all four sides, and you can also rotate the pencil just to see if it's the same height and also the same width. So I'm actually going to fix this bottom part, because as you can see this side is slightly a bit low, so I'm gonna make sure that it's even this way. So make sure that you draw the new line before you erase the old one, because what happens is that most times students would actually erase it first and then redraw the exact same incorrect line, so the one that's a little bit lower. So make sure that you draw the new line before you actually erase the old line. it's a good habit to build. So now that we have our square, now we can actually start dividing it into half. So this is what we're going to do next in step number 1. So make sure that you draw the little dash first before you actually start measuring, because you need to measure from somewhere, right? So the dash is the perfect thing to draw in order to measure. So as you can see here, once you measured the center line and then you double check that it is the same spacing on the left side and the right side because it's symmetrical, then you can go ahead and draw a vertical line down. So what happens here is that once we have this one, so make sure you can also double check at the bottom too and make sure that the line is straight. So just kind of like measure the top part because that's the correct measurement, and you just kind of slide it down so that it's even on both sides. Okay, so now that we have the center line for the vertical line, now we're gonna have to do the center line for the horizontal line. So we're gonna do a little dash too, and then we're gonna measure bottom up. So you're gonna make sure that the tip of the pencil is on the dash line that you drew, and then also tip of finger is going to be at the base of the square. And then once you have that, then you can go ahead and draw your horizontal line all the way across when you finished double checking. So make sure you double check. Having a good habit of double checking all the time is a good habit to build. And then you're also going to double check to make sure that the horizontal line is straight, so no suddenly curving up in the middle, no humps, no hills or anything, and no just slopes going downwards. Yeah, we don't want any of those, so we're gonna do our best to keep it nice and straight. Okay, so once we have that, next thing we're going to do here is that we're gonna also measure the squares, top and bottom, and also the width, because all of these mini squares should be equally the same size. Okay, so next up is that we're going to draw our circle. So I'm going to teach you how to draw a perfect circle technically. So that's what we need to draw before we actually start building on the Mario mushroom. So make sure that you kind of draw it in pieces. So nobody says that you have to draw in one go and just in one stroke or one line. You can actually break it apart, so you kind of stitch up together smaller parts of the line together so that it curves nice and smoothly. So the key idea is that you want to make sure that the curved line reaches all 4 sides on the pretty much where the center horizontal line is fitting. So basically this area over here, and then if you need to kind of fix and adjust, you can also do that, and I will show you guys how to double check to see whether if the circle is even on all sides. So what we're going to do here is that we are going to actually make sure that we're going to use the center point over here, and then we're going to make a dot, and this is called the pivot technique. So what we're going to do here is that now once we have our dot at the center, we're going to measure. So make sure that the tip of the pencil is on the left side, and also the tip of your index finger is going to be on the dot, or kind of like behind the vertical line in a way. So once you have that, then you're going to turn, and basically the outer edge of the circle should be at the same spot as the tip of the pencil. So basically you want to make sure that you don't shift your finger there, so when you're turning you can turn just a bit slightly, and then basically the edge of the circle should reach where the tip is. So basically what happens is that if it's too inside, then that means that the circle is too small, and then if it goes outside of and it kind of reaches like all the way out beyond the tip of the pencil, that means that it's too big and it's curving out too much. So that's how you double check to see whether if it's even or not. And then you can also break it apart too. You don't have to like twist all the way. You can actually break into pieces. So basically every time when you measure one side, make sure you reset. So make sure the tip of the pencil is on the left side, and then make sure that you kind of break into parts, and then make sure that your index finger is always on the dot. And you're gonna do this for all 4 sides just to double check, because since we are learning over here, you want to make sure that you double check all 4 sides. Don't be lazy. You want to make sure that we kind of double check all the sides over here, and as you can see, this part, mine was slightly a bit in, so I'm going to move it out just a little bit so that we make sure that the tip of the pencil is where the edge of the circle is going to be. So yeah, and that's how we basically check to see whether if our circle is a perfect circle. And then basically it's a little bit awkward to twist it that way with this side. So what you're going to do here is you're going to do the opposite thing, where basically the tip of the pencil is going to be at the dot, and then your finger is going to be the outside edge of the circle. So we're kind of switching spots now. So once you have that, basically what happens here is that you're going to break it apart and make sure that the tip of the pencil is always on the dot, and you're going to kind of rotate and move your hand higher and higher and make sure that the tip of the finger is where your line is going to be. So that's how you're going to check all of these places. So now that we're pretty much done with step number 1, now we're going to go into step number 2. So basically with step number 2, as you can see, we have some extra horizontal lines, and we also have 2 vertical lines over here. So those are going to be the lines that we're going to draw. When you're actually drawing this construction, you can actually measure just to see whether if one side is bigger than the other. So you kind of see where this one over here, it's slightly bit wider than the box on the outside. So the vertical lines over here are probably going to move a little bit more outwards, and then you can also double check to see if these 3 spacings are the same. So as you can see, the bottom spacing is bigger than the top one, and then the middle one is going to be a little bit bigger than the very top one. So large at the bottom, medium, then small. Okay, so now let's go ahead and draw first the 2 vertical lines. So I'm going to put a dash there, and as you can see, I measured so that the left side is a lot larger than the right side. And then what we're going to do, as well as a little shortcut, is that you can actually copy and paste. So we're going to take that same measurement that's on the very right side, or kind of like the outside over there, and then we're going to kind of take that measurement and draw it on the left side too. And once we have that, then we can go ahead and draw our vertical line all the way up. So you're gonna make sure that you can do this for both sides, and you can also remember to double check just to see if it's even on both sides, and then after that we can actually move on to our horizontal lines. So let's go ahead and finish drawing those 2, and then now we can go ahead and start drawing our other horizontal lines over here. So now don't forget what we mentioned about earlier, is that make sure that the bottom spacing is the largest, and as it goes up it's going to get smaller and smaller. So they're not perfect thirds, they're not even spacings, one is smaller than the other. So as you can see, we're going to measure over here. So this one, the very bottom one, is bigger than the middle one, and then the middle one is bigger than the top one. So once we have that, then we can actually go ahead and draw our horizontal lines over, and then you can also kind of copy and paste the dashes over if you'd like though, but I'm just gonna go ahead and draw it all the way to the right side, and then I'm gonna come back and double check just in case if there's any lines that suddenly dipped a little bit, or it kind of has a little bit of a hill or kind of curved upwards. So I want to make sure that we keep those horizontal lines leveled. And now we're going to double check just to see if it's leveled, so you can actually measure them and break it into smaller parts and pieces. So you kind of see where this one kind of dipped down just a little bit. So we're going to go back and reset and just kind of see if it's the same height, and if it's not, we are going to correct it. And once we draw the new line, so make sure to remember to draw the new line before you erase the old one, because you might redraw the old one again if you erase all of the lines all at once. So make sure that you draw the new line first and then erase the old one. So that way you have like 2 lines to compare to, and you for sure know that you didn't redraw that same line because you have 2 lines. So, yep. Okay, and after a little bit of correcting them, we are going to go to the next step, which is step number 3. So now that we are at step number 3, what happens here is that we are going to draw more curved lines. So we're pretty much finished with all our straight lines. We are going to go ahead and draw the large oval shape and also the 2 oval shapes on the side though, but just because of perspective, they're not a full oval anymore because a lot of it is turning away from us and hiding. So basically, what we're going to do here is that, as you can see, you can use a vertical line just to kind of see whether if the edge of that large oval at the center is touching our vertical line that we have at the bottom, which did not, so there is a little bit of spacing. And then also on the sides, make sure that you kind of see where the lines reach, and then that way you can kind of see a little bit better where everything goes. So let's go ahead and start with the center oval, and what I'm actually going to do here is that I'm actually going to extend those vertical lines because that way it's actually going to be easier when we actually try to find the placement of that larger oval, so when we're drawing it. So it doesn't mean that you can't draw extra lines. Feel free to draw extra lines if you need to do so, because that way it would actually help you draw our mushroom character, our Mario mushroom character, so that way we kind of learn to use the new techniques that we learned so far. So we're using our vertical lines and we're extending it so that we know how far away the oval is actually spaced out before it reaches the vertical lines, because it doesn't really touch them. So you kind of see where I'm putting dashes over here. So putting dashes is also another helpful tip and method to kind of guide us to see, okay, so I want to make sure that the oval stays within these shapes, and I'm just going to kind of roughly and lightly sketch out the oval for now, but it doesn't mean that it's going to finish here at the very end. So what happens is that once I kind of roughly draw it out, and you kind of see where there's some places that are slightly bit uneven, so I would actually go back and actually correct it. So I took a look and kind of saw that the left side was actually a little bit too much space between the vertical line and the oval line. So I'm going to kind of scooch it over more to the left side, and also I'm going to do the same thing on this right side. So basically the oval will look a lot more even and not suddenly kind of look like an egg shape, because that's not what I wanted. So we want to make sure that we're going to kind of slightly change that, and then again make sure you build a good habit of drawing the new line first, and then you're going to erase with the eraser and erase the old line. So gotta be a little bit careful, and please don't erase like a crazy person because I have a lot of students that do it that way and they just erase all the good lines too, and that's not very helpful because you just have to put in more work and redraw everything again. So be mindful, because when you're actually erasing, it's kind of like drawing too. So you're going to erase as precisely as you would when you're drawing. Okay, so now we have our oval over here. Next thing we're going to do here is we're going to add the 2 curved lines or the ovals on the side. So we're going to go ahead and add the 2 on the side over here, and then all you have to do is make sure that it starts on those 2 lines at the bottom so they don't go any lower, and they kind of reach somewhere on top of that. And make sure to kind of pay attention to whether if the lines curve out or in, because that makes a big difference. Because sometimes I've seen students kind of curve the opposite direction, but you want to make sure you kind of observe the drawing example so that you know which way it actually curves. So once we have that, and you can also do some tweaks and double checking just in case. You can double check with negative shape. You can also double check with spacing from that line to the outside edge of the circle. And once we have that, then we are going to move on and add the top curve of the Mario Mushroom's head. So as you can see, I'm doing it in 2 parts, so you can actually break it up into 2 pieces so that it's easier for you. So all you have to do is concentrate on this negative shape that you see there, and then we're going to do the same thing over here on the right side. So if you can actually replicate and copy this negative shape, which is kind of like a triangle with a curved bottom there, then you would actually get the placement of this line that we're drawing. So feel free to adjust if it's not perfect the first time, and we're going to make sure we draw the new line, correct it, and then erase the old line. Okay, so now we have this part. The next part is basically the side of the face of the Mario mushroom. So we're going to go ahead and draw the curved lines and then pay attention to how far the spacing is between the actual face line and the vertical line or the outside circle line. So the bottom part of the chin, it actually would merge together with the circle. So that one, you don't have to worry too much about spacing between that. And then we have the last touch-ups for the head, I guess. I always say it's a hat. I don't think it's a hat. I think so many, there was one student that mentions like, yeah, that's not a hat. That's the head. And I was like, okay. So we're gonna draw those two lines and then make sure we have our negative shape, and then we're good to go. Yay. Okay. So basically now what we're going to do here is that we're gonna go to the last step and we're gonna give it some eyes here. So we have the eyes over here, and what we're going to do here is that we're going to measure to see how far away it is from the baseline and also the surrounding spacing. So you can actually measure that beforehand on the drawing example. And basically, as you kind of saw, the bottom line over, or the bottom spacing, sorry, is the same spacing as that middle third part over here. So you can actually take that and copy and paste, then you would actually find the base of the eye. And then what you could also do is that we're going to do something similar with all the other spacings too. So let's measure this part first, and then we're going to move it down and then make a dashed line at the bottom over here. And then we're going to do the same thing. Make sure you reset over here, and this is going to be how wide it is. So it's going to be the same spacing with this one. We're going to slightly turn and twist it, and then basically that's going to be how wide it is on the left side of the eye for the Mario mushroom. So once we both have that, we're just going to copy and paste it on the right side now. So it's the same spacing because it's symmetrical on both sides. So we're gonna go ahead and do that, and then once we have that, then we can go ahead and start drawing our curved line. So make sure you kind of lightly sketch everything out and kind of go gradually. Make sure you pay attention to the surrounding spacings, because you might make the eye slightly a bit too wide or slightly a bit too long, and it kind of goes beyond the face, and that's probably something that we don't want. So make sure that they are within the spacing that we need to draw it, and make sure that the top part is pretty much level. So I'm actually going to erase this side because that side's slightly popping up just a teeny bit, but we're gonna make sure we're gonna keep it the same height. And once we have that and we adjusted both of those, then we can go ahead and draw the last part of the Mario mushroom, which is the highlights. And then there you go. We have our beautiful little Mario mushroom. And just the last few touch-ups, and then we are good to go. So we are finished with today's drawing construction. Yay, we made it! And I hope you guys had fun drawing this together. It was super fun sharing this drawing process with you guys and drawing construction. So I hope you guys learned something new, and I hope you guys learned how to actually apply how to measure with your pencil to a drawing construction, so that you can actually practice your new techniques and drawing methods to help you improve your proportions, and also just kind of get more knowledge and using new tools and new things you learn throughout these drawing practices and drawing exercises. Please remember that you can actually download the drawing constructions in the description below, so make sure you click on the links below. You can actually get these printouts. There are free and available for you guys, so that you can actually practice the new things that you learned from this particular episode today. And if you actually would like more drawing constructions like these, you can actually sign up to my Patreon. I have 2 tiers that you can actually sign up to. So you can either sign up to Learning Fuzz tier or Student Fuzz tier, and then you would actually get weekly construction drawings. So there's going to be a variety of different drawing constructions from different subjects. You can actually get characters, Pokemon, flowers, any other regular mundane things, just to kind of help you improve and practice the new technique that I showed you guys here in this video, and also many other videos that I have too. So have fun practicing. have fun learning and have fun exploring a little bit and trying out new things to help you improve your drawing skills here. But thank you again so much, and please remember, if you like this video, please remember to subscribe. Please also do remember to click the like button too, and also please remember to comment as well. That would be super helpful, because if you have any questions, that's the best way for me to help you out, is to actually comment below, and I'll do my best to kind of answer your questions and help you guys out. So yeah. Okay, but thanks again. I hope you guys enjoyed this brand new Mario mushroom construction, and then there's definitely going to be new constructions coming out soon in the future. I'm just kind of taking my time to actually gradually recording everything, kind of drawing these step by steps so that you guys could learn one at a time, and then that way we would kind of learn together, draw together, and improve our drawing skills together. Thank you again so much, everybody, and I really appreciate your amazing love and support for my art YouTube channel. It's doing fantastic. We're kind of growing together, we're kind of learning together, we're exploring together, and I'm really happy I got this opportunity and chance to actually share my knowledge with you guys so that I can actually help you improve your drawing skills, your painting skills, and just kind of help you out with your art journey. So yeah. Okay, awesome. Stay tuned for the next video. It's going to be something new, something super exciting, but I'm not going to say anything, no spoilers for this one, but you just have to kind of check out, make sure you subscribe so you can actually get new updates on when the next new video is coming out. So yay, I'm super excited. Okay, awesome. Wishing you guys a wonderful week, a wonderful weekend, a wonderful month, and I shall see you guys next week with a brand new art video. So have fun, stay creative, enjoy your practicing, and I shall see you guys next time. Okay, see you guys. Thanks again. Bye bye.